This continued unavailability of written scripture would have caused oral communication to be an important factor in the developing doctrines and attitudes of Christianity, even communication issues, 5 after the Gospels were recorded. This fact may also help explain some of the many differences among manuscripts. In any case, there is a great variability among manuscripts of the Gospels, as will be discussed further. Authenticity never known with so much variation among manuscripts, isn't the absolute authenticity of any text, even the most venerable manuscripts, always in question. The Codex Vaticanus is a prime example of this. The facsimile reproductions edited by the Vatican City in 1965 include an accompanying editorial note with the following information. Several centuries after it was copied, ascribing it over all the letters except those he thought were a mistake. The different hands that corrected and annotated the manuscript over the centuries have not yet been definitely discerned. A certain number of corrections were undoubtedly made when the text was inked over. Sir Frederick Kenyon lists some of the important variations in the manuscripts of the Gospels are Bible and the Ancient Manuscripts, Harper and Brothers, 1958, pp. 48–49. The doxology of the Lord's Prayer is omitted in the oldest copies of Matt, vi. 13. Several copies omit Matt, XVI, 2, 3 altogether. A long additional passage is sometimes found after Matt, XX 28, the last 12 verses of St. Mark are omitted altogether by the 2 oldest copies of the original Greek. One very ancient authority inserts an additional incident after Luke vi. 4, while it alters the account of the institution of the Lord's Supper in Luke XXII, 19, 20, and omits altogether Peter's visit to the sepulchre in XXIV, 12, and several other details of the resurrection. The version of the Lord's Prayer in Luke 2–4 is much abbreviated in many copies. The incident of the bloody sweat is omitted in XXII, 43, 44, as also is the word from the cross, Father, forgive them, in 23. 34. The mention of the descent of an angel to cause the moving of the waters of Bethesda is entirely absent from the oldest copies of John version 4, and all the best authorities omit the incident of the woman taken in adultery in VII, 53 VIII. 11. Besides the larger discrepancies, such as these, there is scarcely a verse in which there is not some variation. 6. Development of the Christian doctrine of phrase in some copies. No one can say that these additions are omissions or alterations are matters of mere indifference. These variations are not matters of mere indifference because many Christian beliefs are based on a small part of the Bible. If those portions have been distorted or misunderstood, then the beliefs themselves may actually go against the teachings of Jesus. If someone is trying to follow the commandment to love and worship God as Jesus taught, with all their heart, all their mind, all their soul, and all their strength, then is it possible that some traditional Christian beliefs are actually getting in the way, without their even being aware of it? Human errors. Why are there so many variations in the manuscripts? As one possible answer, Kenyon goes on to describe the types of errors introduced into manuscripts of the Gospels by the copyists. He divides them into 3 basic types. The first type of error has to do with the mechanics of hand copying long documents. Words with similar sounds or spellings are easily confused. Letters and words can easily be skipped and abbreviations or contractions can be misread. We must recall that hand copying, unlike touch typing, requires constant looking from the original to the new copy. When the same words are used in different lines, the copyist may easily pick up again at the wrong occurrence of the words, thus omitting intervening text. Given the fact that there were no spaces between words, lit.tle punctuation, and no difference between capital and lower case letters in ancient manuscripts, it is easy to see how marginal notes might have been mistaken for part of the scripture, and included as such. Poor lighting, Adverse working conditions and poor nutrition undoubtedly plagued the copyists, making their task more difficult and prone to error. Bart Ehrman Ibid, page 48 borrows a wonderful example from Bruce M. Metzger of the difficulties presented by just one communication issues. 7. Of these factors, the lack of spaces separating words. Here it is from Metzger's The Text of the New Testament. Its transmission, corruption, and restoration, 2nd edition Oxford, 1968, p. 13. At times, of course, the meaning of a sentence would be ambiguous because the division into words was uncertain. In English, for example, godisnowhere will be read with totally different meanings by an atheist and by a theist. God is nowhere and God is now here. Also, the infrequency of punctuation and lack of capitalization may well have caused misinterpretation of some words or entire passages. For the first 200 to 300 years, educated members of the Christian congregation made copies of early Christian texts, not the monks or professional scribes of later years. Ehrman, Ibid, pp. 51 to 52.